If someone wants to join, they can join. Meanwhile, we go ahead. So, let me just welcome you all and thank you all for joining us. It's wonderful to have you all here. I'm Ifra and I am project manager at SwitchON Foundation. We are here together today for the webinar. It is going to be the first of our knowledge building sessions under the Greenovation SustainAgri Challenge. The webinar is called From Soil to Systems, Scaling Climate Adaptation through Agroecology and Community Leadership. This, as I mentioned, is going to be the first webinar in the series of this challenge, which we launched recently on June 19, 2025. So this challenge aims to identify and support the innovations in sustainable agriculture across India, and it is open to both startups as well as the NGOs that are working on the transformative, scalable solutions in this space. Through this challenge, we basically hope to support the solutions that address the real issues of the erratic weather patterns, soil degradation, greenhouse gas emissions, overall resource stress, and all whatever is related to the sustainable agriculture. And meanwhile, they build a more regenerative and resilient agricultural system. So the participants here, I am just telling you all, if you're interested, you can go and check our website. It is www.earthonfoundation.org. You can check out the detailed eligibility criteria and other aspects and the benefits of the program there. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in our chat box. Our team is here. We'll make sure to answer each and every one of the questions. And if not here, we'll definitely reach out to you after the session. Before we go ahead, I would like to request my colleague Mrinal to play the video about the challenge that can give you more clearer idea about the challenge. Mrinal, can you please play the video?
Agriculture is under strain and the pressure keeps rising. Soils are weaker, weather's wilder, farmers are left to adapt alone. But what if the solutions already exist and just need a push? The Greenovation SustainAgri Challenge is here to find them. An initiative by EarthOn and SwitchON Foundation. We are looking for startups and NGOs working on innovative and practical solutions. We want to hear from you. Startups with scalable tech, NGOs with community-driven models. This challenge is for both. Wondering what's in it for you? Win up to 20 lakhs rupees in non-dilutive grants, plus capacity building sessions and networking opportunities. The future of Indian agriculture needs grounded innovation. Apply now.
Okay. Thank you, Mrinal. Yeah, I hope this gives everyone a clearer picture of this program and what are we trying to achieve through it. And before we deep dive into today's session and I hand it over to Ekta Di, I'll just introduce Ekta Di quickly to everyone here and the rest of the speakers, and then I'll hand it over to her. So everyone, please join me in welcoming Ekta Jaju. She is the founder and CEO of Organic Foods. She will be leading the session and will be moderating the session today here with us. She is very passionate advocate for organic farming and its impact on smallholder farmers. She has a vast experience in sustainable agriculture and clean energy. And has previously co-founded SwitchON Foundation and Onergy Solutions. She has also consulted global organizations like UN Women and is also a fellow of Unlimited India, the Packard Foundation, Dasra, and Bicycle. Ekta Di, thank you so much for joining us and for moderating the sessions. Please allow me to introduce our speakers, Manjushri Tadwalkar. Manjushri Tai is the director and managing trustee of Inora Biotech and Noha Foundation. She is the pioneer of earthworm biotechnology and is India's first woman entrepreneur in waste management, which is a very big deal for us to get her on board in this panel. She has over 30 years of experience and she's led Inora and Noha Foundation developing biofertilizers and promoting agroecology through community-based soil health initiatives. Thank you for joining us, Manjushri Tai. I also would like to welcome Anshuman Das. Anshuman Das is the lead expert in the agroecology food systems at Welt Hunger Life India and has over 25 years of experience in this space. He is leading programs in advancing sustainable agriculture, food sovereignty, and community-based resource management at Welt Hunger Life India. We also have with us Krishna Prasad. He is the director of Sahaja Samruddha. And this is very interesting because he's also known as Karnataka's native seed man because he's the director of Sahaja Samruddha. And for 2 decades, he has led India's movement to revive indigenous seed varieties, build farmer networks, and promoted organic agriculture through seed conservation and knowledge sharing. We also have with us Dr. Sabyasachi Das. He is the director at Vasan and national coordinator at RRA Network. He has over 20 years of field experience and policy experiences, and he focuses on sustainable agriculture, biodiversity, and inclusive models of rain-fed regions. Lastly, but definitely not the least, I welcome Gitanjali Rajamani. She is the Director, Central for Rural Development at the Nudge Institute. She is working on regenerative agriculture to increase the farmer incomes in sustainable agricultural domains. And she is a two-time entrepreneur also, the award-winning leader. She brings deep expertise in building scalable farmer-centric agri solutions. So these are our speakers for today. I welcome you all and thank you all for joining us. I will now hand it over to Ektati for starting the session. Ektati, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ifradi, for this wonderful introduction. A very warm welcome and namaste to everyone for joining us today. I'm really excited to moderate today's conversation. So this conversation brings together practitioners, thought leaders who've actually walked the path of agroecology. They're working at the intersection of science, policy, market, and grassroots action. So today we hope to spark a dialogue that moves us and takes us beyond ideas to action, and from isolated solutions to how do we look at a holistic system change. So as we explore how we can scale a model which looks at farmer first and impact first, looks at building climate resilience, I would invite each of you speakers to share your insights and your experiences from the ground that can inspire all our entrepreneurs and audience today. So to begin with, I would like to ask my first question to Sabyasachi Da from RRA Network, Vasan. So Sabyata, if you can share with us, how can agroecology be positioned as a key strategy for climate adaptation at scale?
Thank you, Ekta, and thank you and other panelists as well as all the participants who have joined this webinar for inviting me for this conversation. So, okay, so I think this agroecology in the current conversation in India is mostly limited to farms. It's probably have not thought through for the landscape. There are few people talking about the landscape approach of agroecology. And if it is going to be a climate adaptation strategies, it is important that we think through the landscape and think through the whole ecosystem of several things together. say for example, I would like to see that where the innovations and the practices has happened, and I look forward some of the experiences that the community or particularly in the rain-fed areas that has been done. So if we really want this agroecology to be climate adaptation strategies, then you need to look at everything together as a whole ecosystem. Say, for example, in the soil, how we actually do a lot of work related to soil health management, which can bring the soil as a more living property. And for that, the whole ecosystem has to be established. Then if I look at this seeds, KP will also talk about that more. So therefore, I am not getting into that into more detail. But finally, he will probably talk about the indigenous, locally adapted varieties are brought into a systematic manner. They have done it, and some of the other organization and also in the RRA network, we came up with a system which actually deals with multiple crops required at different point of time, and it is available on a time which is required, and the quality is ensured about it. So I think the whole support system, if there is a need of two things. One is that thinking through the landscape and thinking through the establishing ecosystem for the support services, whether it is soil. If you want to move towards the PMDS practices, some of the practices, this kind of practices has been taken up in a large scale in the Andhra Pradesh, where community led natural farming programs are happening. So you need to have a lot of seeds which is required for the PMDS. So do you have a systems for that? I think if we look at the crop systems, it is not about the monocrop. If you really look at the principles of the agroecology, it talks about the multiple cropping systems or the polycropping system. And for the polycropping system, we know that there is a lot of indigenous polycropping systems who are available in different agroclimatic zone earlier. We have studied around 17 such polycropping system in around 10 to 12 states. But this has been reducing. Why this is reducing? We need to do a lot of roundup understanding on what are the bottleneck, and if we need to come up with the solutions of those bottleneck, how say for example the planting of those multi-crop systems and then also harvesting. Then you also need to look at that, okay, if I am having a 5 grains, how I am going to do the threshing of those 5 grains. There is in case of rice, you have a thresher, okay, but we do not have a multiple thresher which can actually help this multi-cropping system to grow. And we can reduce the physical labor, as well as the labor cost in moving towards that multi-cropping system. I would also like to say, I'll also like to say, there are certain, okay, if somebody can mute those who are not talking right now. So my assumption is that the kind of a support system is required for agroecological transformation in landscape. There is a lot of innovations needs to happen, but this innovation, I see that innovation in which community is part of creating those innovations or the solutions. It is not only about tech-driven solutions, rather a combination of communities' knowledge systems to develop the solutions, which can be actually be helpful for adaptation against climate variation. I think my key takeaway is the learning that I got from different geographies, and particularly my experiences are from the rain-fed. And I see that we need to look at the landscape. You need to look at beyond farm as well, but you need to look at that what are the support ecosystems are required for sustaining this agroecological work, not only at the farm but also in a village or in a block or in a landscape. I'll stop now. Probably will other speakers and other questions we can take.
This is very helpful, Savyada. Thank you so much for sharing with us what a holistic system looks like. Moving on, my next question is for Krishna Da from Sahaj Samruddha. So, Krishna Da, we would love to understand from you what role can a farmer-producer collective play in strengthening climate resilience and market access?
Yeah, this is a big challenge. Look at that. Since 3-4 years, the rain patterns have changed, cropping patterns have changed. Even in Karnataka, this is what the monsoon, the kharif crop, we are all sowing millets. It's continuous rain, and we unable to grow the millets, and farmers shifted the millet cultivation to summer. No one expected 10 years back people growing millets in summer. And also, again, who grows in the summer? People have the irrigation facility. Maybe they have some life-saving irrigation. They can only grow the millets or any other crops in the summer. So Kharif is very unsure. Yes, summer is promising, but availability of the irrigation facility is an issue. So this is the things. Now really the advantage is the go back to the indigenous crops. Look at that, something 10 years back, decade back, everyone was looking the short duration crops. If it is a short duration, it's now 100% failure because of this rain pattern. Rain starts sometime, it's like early rains, heavy rain, then no rain. Again at the harvest time, it's a heavy downpour. So this is what people are now demanding for the long duration crops. So that is what the newly bred varieties, modern cultivars, not many long duration crops. Where that long duration crops, it's only the desi varieties. So I think this is what, when you grow this long duration crops, again, the consumers are, now it's like a 2-3 rice. It's like a Sona Masuri, Basmati or Sampani. So they are not familiar with the new varieties. So whether they only know the normal potatoes, they never seen the black potatoes. They were never seen the red potatoes. People, consumers are not heard the roots and tubers, very promising crops. I think this is what producer companies, farmer producer companies can play a major role to popularize these varieties, and also whatever the required value addition and introducing it to the market. These are all the conventional traditional crops, but forgotten crops. I think that producer companies can play a major role to bring it back. And also, very interestingly, this is kind of a new business also. All these producer companies, most of the producer companies are like input dealers. That is what we trained like that. You start a producer company, start supplying the inputs. No, look, we need not to depend on the inputs. This is what producer companies can produce their own bio inputs. They can give it to their shareholders. Let farmers grow under the agroecological practices. And whatever they produce, the local produce, traditional crops, that can be marketed in the, in a different channels. Like a diversity fair, trade fairs, farmers market, many things we can create. So that way really producer companies can play a very major role. But thing is how the state supports for that initiative. That is really very sad, very bad. You will not find good support from the state or central government. That is a big lacuna. And also the banking systems are very poor. Look at that. Imagine they will check the CIBIL score for your shareholders. So look at that. How can we run the producer company and no one is offering any OD facility for the newly formed producer company? So this is all very romantic, glamorous to talk about farmers producer company, but reality is very challenging. We are without a godown, how can we do the business? You go and talk to the newly formed producer company, no one is offering even 10 lakh rupiah. I think producer companies can do wonders, give them a proper guidance, show them a pathways, and also that way they can really play a major role, because this is near a crossroads. We have seen the agriculture, not only Karnataka, because I am working with other farmer, seed savers across India. Really, this is a very challenging time. I think we can all face this climate change issues collectively. Yeah. So this is my observation.
And thank you so much, Krishnada, for sharing. How can we find opportunities also for farmer collectives, and how can we help support them through better credit linkage? Very critical. Moving on, I would like to ask a question to Anshumanda. So, Anshumanda, from your work that you've done with farming communities, what lessons have emerged in scaling community-led models for sustainable agriculture? Anshumanda, are you with us?
Yes, give me a minute. So I cannot somehow connect to my laptop, so I'm connecting from phone. Yeah. So couple of things. So I sometimes have a problem with the word scale up itself, because when you were scaling up, so I have seen a lot of dilution happening. So definitely we need to kind of reach out to many, but how, that is the question. So in terms of dilution, I can give one example of GPDP, Gram Panchayat Development Planning, which is a wonderful idea, like involving people in planning and all this. But actually, when you were doing it, I mean, I have seen people are doing 3 Gram Panchayat development planning in one day. So that's what happens if you are trying to like cover a large area, large number of people very quickly. So scaling up itself needs to be kind of rethought once more. And by scaling up, we often think that like schematizing of certain things will help. Like I often notice that our advocacy target is to make a scheme out of everything. So when you do a scheme, let us also try to understand a country like India, a scheme will often, it's such a diverse country like India actually. So a scheme will often not capture the essence of the diversity, not capture the essence of the localization. So that remains a challenge in scaling up. And the third problem in this is this remains very expert driven. So by expert, I mean expert like us actually. So who are not farmers themselves, who are not living in the village themselves, and who are kind of who might have a PhD degree. I don't have a problem with PhD degree, but it often happens that the actual context is often missing. So who is an expert? A farmer who is working there for like last say 40 years, and he has the experience of actually last 2000 years. So and he is not an expert, and people like me who are taught well and who stuff. So these kind of dilution I have seen when you are talking about scaling up. But what worked for us? Like I often notice that coming from the same kind of idea, I often notice that community leaders, community champions, if we can identify them. And if we can give the responsibility of like continuing something, that worked very well. Like I have started, like it is long back. It is about I think in 2003-4, there was one program called BioFarm. So I started with 300 farmers in 16 locations of India. So we're trying to understand how these integrated farming system models can be achieved for different kinds of agroecological zones. Started with only 300. So now this particular program, and we later on we realized that, I mean, we need to have farmer leaders who can train other farmers. So that is the only way, the kind of farmer field school model and kind of a cascading model. So that actually worked very well. So like for me, scaling up is this. Scaling up is whether the baton is handed over to somebody in the community who can take it up, who can continue this. That had worked very well. And another thing is, when we scale up, I think Sabbe has already like touched upon this a little bit. It is often very technology driven. So, I mean, there is a word in the mainstream which is very popular, which is called technology transfer. So, do you really think that just transferring the technology it will work? And like the way Green Revolution worked is actually transferring the technology. We haven't thought about what will happen to the ecosystem. How does system function? How agro-ecosystem functions? How different things are, linked with each other. So when we scale up, we focus a lot. I focused a lot on developing the planning capacity of the community. How can you plan your farm better? How can you plan your farm, plan your village, plan your community, plan for your entire landscape. How will that happen? What are the soft skills that is required to maintain that? And we're talking about agroecological transformation. If you think about these 13 principles of agroecology, so we often talk about the lower half, only the 6 principles, which starting from this reduction of input and all this, which is mostly production driven, but we hardly talk about the principles which are there in the upper half. So what about collaboration? What about co-creation of knowledge? I mean, knowledge is not there in the 4 walls only. Knowledge is not there in the book. Knowledge is not there always in the written form. How do we co-create knowledge together? We don't talk about that when you scale up. How does participation happen? Who will take decision of one particular thing? Decision about managing the forest, managing the water bodies. How is the ownership? What is the ownership of the productive resources? Like in our country, I mean, women are still not having land ownership, and we're talking about gender inclusion. So, and now forget about this, the indigenous community and this gender class, all these intersectionalities. So we hardly talk about that. All our discussion boils down to technology, which is not the way to scale up. And if you scale it up, I mean, only technology transfer has led to this current world that we are seeing. And that's not going to help us. So there has to be a complete different way of looking at how do we scale up. Let's stop here right now, and I look for the discussions and comment.
I think, Anshumanta, you've raised more questions than I also had planned for all of you. I hope with this expert panel, hopefully we may find answers to some of them, and then through the work, hopefully the others. But moving on to some of our entrepreneurs who've joined us today, I think I'll pose my first question to Manjushri Tai from Inora. So, if you could please share with us what innovations or practices have you found effective in regenerating soil health and biodiversity?
So there are two parts to your question, Ekta. One is the biodiversity, and then other is the soil health. So, according to my understanding and whatever agroecological conditions are presently there, the agroclimatic zones which are there, the farm types, the farm holdings which are there, I mean, it is all about which economic crop is being considered in that agroecosystem. It may be one economic crop or it may be 2 or 3 economic crops. And what that crop is going, how that crop is going to perform in that system with respect to the soil health and with respect to the biodiversity. And for improving that, we need to understand the crop geometry of that area with respect to the land use planning. Once that is understood, whatever is the excess land and the available water, irrigation and moisture, that excess land or the fallow land or what has to go under biomass plantations. And why these biomass plantations are important is to feed the soil. So, because everywhere the cattle integrations and all such things are not going to be available, we know that the cattle holdings are also reducing because of many such economic and labor related issues. So, from that point of time, we have to plan for biomass along with our main crop to feed the soil, and this biomass has to be of multiple, it should actually perform multiple functions. What multiple functions this biomass will perform is, one is about creating the microclimate required for your crop and for your agroecosystem. Second, it will also actually perform various things like how to feed the soil using that biomass, how this biomass or this greenery or whatever we are developing near in our agroecosystem will encourage the pollinators, how it will also encourage the water holding in the soil, how it also hold the atmospheric moisture in the soil, how it will reduce the wind pressures or the winds which are flowing across. So all these things which will take care, which factors need to be taken care of, should be controlled with the help of biomass plantations along with your main crop. Of course, mixed cropping and all those things we know will be done, but these other things will actually improve the biodiversity in your cropping systems. So how to do this agrobiodiversity improvement is another subject, which is a very elaborate subject. But to give you some clues, this agrodiversity should be with woody materials, with shrubby materials, with herbs, with botanicals, with grasses, with foders, with latex generating plants, with flowering, with colored flowers plants, which will attract a lot of pollinators. These plants should be having tap root systems, adventitious root systems. So even the diversity under the soil will be considered while we are doing these plantations. All the bunds should be utilized properly for maybe using making these bunds useful for barrier crops and all these things. So when we are doing this, parallelly, this biomass we are going to use for improving the soil organic matter. And this soil organic matter, when embedded in the soil, will improve the soil biodiversity. So the aerial biodiversity will generate the soil organic matter, which when embedded in the soil during the humification process will improve the soil biodiversity. So this particular dynamism between whatever is happening aerially and what is happening in the soil has to be achieved. And what is the most important factor in achieving the biomass production is the soil moisture and the atmospheric moisture. And how you will then improve the soil moisture and atmospheric moisture you'll have to consider something like the soil field capacity. What kind of irrigation, what kind of water, quality of water is available to you, and how you will maintain the field capacity, and how you will maintain the atmospheric moisture, which is called as the RH factor of your atmospheric moisture, which should be more than 60 to 70% for achieving that yield of the biomass as well as your main crop. So you should be having some small ponds or pools in your agro system or in your fields to encourage the aquatic fauna and flora. So this aquatic fauna and flora will have multiple functions in the system, like the toads and frogs will control the crablings and the small insects which are there in the fields. The damsel flies and the dragonflies which will hover on the ponds will take care of so many insect pests which are there in the agro ecosystem. So these small factors, if properly integrated in the farming system, will bring lot of quality and lot of interactive things will happen definitely in the farming systems. For improving the atmospheric moisture, you will have to adopt to aero irrigation kind of newer methods wherein we cannot think of irrigating only the soil because of the climatic conditions and very excessive evapotranspiration. Like excess evapotranspiration is wilting the plants, is scorching the plants. So in such cases, you will also have to consider using aero irrigation, wherein some moisture is created in the aerial parts or in the foliar parts of the main crops. This is very important in the orchards like mangoes and lychees and wherever the bearing is happening in the summer seasons. So all such things will have to be considered when you're planning for the biodiversity of your soil, of your agro ecosystem. And for, can I continue?
Sure.
Yeah. And for regenerating the soil health, we have to aim to make the soil and convert that soil into a sponge. You know how a sponge functions. It holds water, it holds air, it holds, it allows drainage. So all these functions of the soil, if we can make the soil into a sponge, we can do this with the help of whatever organic matter is available in your farming system. So understand what kind of organic matter is there with you, whether it is slow degrading, fast degrading, what kind of cattle dung or liquid manures or such things are available for you. Also study the soil physical, chemical and biological fertility. Don't just give importance only to the chemical fertility. Also consider that soil biological fertility is extremely important. And what is the parent rock there in your field? What kind of mineral character this parent rock is giving to the soil? And once that is understood, what kind of organic matter status is there in the soil? Because right now we know that our soils are dying. Actually it is said that our soils are in ICU. And to recover these soils and bring them to the productive levels, we will have to address the soil biological, physical, and chemical fertility holistically. So how we are going to do that is a lot of such technical approaches are available, and we will have to, approach each and every farm differently for this particular improvement and regenerative things, because we have to also consider the cost considerations for improving these factors in each and every farm. So how we are going to do the organic carbon improvement? What kind of funds are available to us for doing that? Whether we are going to depend only on the green manures or only on the liquid manures, and what kind of humidification processes are we going to initiate. Having said that, the soil biodiversity, the most important factor in the soil biology is the soil fungi. And these give a lot of filamentous growth. These filaments hold the soil particles. They give out lot of exudates. They give out lot of metabolites, because of which the soil is converted into a sponge. So for making this, we'll have to, utilize things like compost, enriching this compost with fungal inoculants, enriching this compost with, different kind of mineral powders, with kind of different kinds of bioinoculants, which are going to finally convert, along with the organic matter, these soils into a sponge. So this soil food web has to be understood.
Absolutely.
So this is my contribution. Thank you.
This is very, very helpful. Thank you so much. Moving on to Gitanjali ji. So, how can we catalyze systems level change for smallholder farmers through collaboration between philanthropy, startups, and government? And would love to know from your work, and your experience.
Thanks, Ekta. I mean, I've been listening to all of the others, and it's so heartening to hear because all their experience is just speaking through, right? All the frustration, all that we experience on the ground is just coming out. Can completely understand that. So about your question about how we can catalyze system level changes, right?
Gitanjali, so sorry for interrupting. I have one request. If you can switch between the languages, Hindi and English, because a lot of people do not understand English. So
Okay, we'll try it. Thanks. सो मैं ये कह रही थी कि ये दिख रहा है कि कितना एक्सपीरियंस है लोगों को यहाँ पे जो स्पीकर्स हैं हमारे कितने एक्सपीरियंस के साथ बात कर रहे हैं मतलब ये सब जो वो बोल रहे हैं ये सब हम एक्चुअली फेस कर रहे हैं फील्ड पे ये जो क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस के चेंजेस हम देख रहे हैं बाकी जो प्रॉब्लम्स हम लोग देख रहे हैं शॉर्ट लाइक लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन क्रॉप्स के बारे में बात किया मंजुश्री जी ने बात किया कि कैसे सॉइल फूड वेब इम्पॉर्टेंट है एंड कोई उसके बारे में सोच नहीं रहा है कि फंगाई और बैक्टीरिया का जो रोल है इन एस्टैब्लिशिंग द सॉइल माइक्रोबायोम इसके बारे में नहीं बात करते एनीवे तो एकता जी का क्वेश्चन था मेरे लिए कि सिस्टम्स लेवल चेंज कैसे कर सकते हैं कैसे कोलैबोरेशन हो सकता है बिटवीन फिलैंथ्रोपी मतलब जो आपके डोनेशंस आपके जो फंडर्स होते हैं इम्पैक्ट इन्वेस्टर्स होते हैं बिटवीन फिलैंथ्रोपी स्टार्टअप्स एंड गवर्नमेंट राइट सो मुझे लगता है कि एक स्टोरी बोलना सबसे अच्छा चीज़ है टू कनेक्ट थिंग्स so let me share a quick story. One example is the small startup called Krishi Tantra in Telangana. So what they did was उन्होंने एक ऐप डेवलप किया एक IoT बेस्ड रैपिड सॉइल टेस्टिंग किट ऐसे बहुत सारे हैं मार्केट रैपिड सॉइल टेस्टिंग किट डेवलप किया जिसका नाम था कृषि रास्ता ऐसे कुछ था उससे क्या होता था कि इंस्टेंट फर्टिलिटी के रिजल्ट्स आपको फर्टिलिटी नहीं बोलूंगी बट नाइट्रोजन पोटेशियम फास्फोरस का और थोड़े बहुत माइक्रो न्यूट्रिएंट्स का भी आपको इंस्टेंटली पता चल जाता था फार्म पे तो इसके वजह से क्या हुआ उन्होंने स्टार्ट किया उसके बाद पायलट्स किए इनिशियली उन्हें फिलैंथ्रोपिक फंडिंग की ज़रूरत पड़ी तो उनको फिलैंथ्रोपिक फंडिंग मिला इम्पैक्ट स्टार्टअप्स इम्पैक्ट इन्वेस्टर्स से उनको मिला उसके बाद वो लोग स्केल करके पायलट फेज तक आ गए उसके बाद उन्होंने काफ़ी कुछ एविडेंस जनरेट किया उसके बाद गवर्नमेंट्स ने ये लेके इंटीग्रेट किया ये सॉइल और डेटा रिकमेंडेशंस को उनके सब्सिडी स्कीम्स जो थे और उनके जो सॉइल टेस्टिंग की स्कीम्स थे तो उसमें उन्होंने ये इंटीग्रेट करके ये जो सिस्टम था उसको इंटीग्रेट करके ऑप्टिमाइज किया फर्टिलाइजर यूज और जो ओवर एप्लीकेशन होता है एक तो चीज बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग ऑर्गेनिक की बट अभी जो the truth is that there's a lot more of chemical farmers than organic farmers because there are very small number of really organic farmers as compared to the chemical ones, right? So over application जो था उसको reduce किया. So this is a good example of where a startup has come up with something and philanthropy has funded something and then it has been taken to the governments to scale, right? Because governments के साथ के पास जो बजट होते हैं, जो फंड्स होते हैं, वो usually you can scale a lot faster with that government funds than you can scale with how much of a philanthropy can put in. The other example is at the Nudge itself, where I work. We are a not-for-profit, but we have a program that, it's called the Economic Inclusion Program. हम लोग excluded communities के साथ काम करते हैं. So we initially got philanthropic funding for that, scaled it, saw the evidence, and then now we have governments who have come in, state governments who have come in and taken it up as special projects and who are actually scaling it, right? So these are two examples of that. But basically what I want to say here is, ये chain reaction is very important. For testing something, you need patient capital, and the government will not step in for experiments or, at a prototype stage, right? At a prototype stage, you need that patient capital, which only philanthropy sort of, or other such impact investors can come in and they can buy that patient zero experiment. Then it absorbs all of that early risk. तो early risk हो जाता है, absorb हो जाता है. जो companies है, startups है, उनको इतना funding वो लोग डाल नहीं सकते. That can come up from philanthropy या फिर funding से. वो अगर establish हो जाता है कि this is working, and then that can then be scaled up via governments, right? So startups are giving you the fresh technology, business models, because वो शायद गवर्नमेंट के पास अभी नहीं है, तो startups are doing all of that cutting edge technology वाला work. They are moving faster, they're tweaking faster. जब lessons on the farm, on the field उनको पता चलते हैं, तो वो tweak करते रहते हैं. तो they tweak that, they speak the language of usability, and then government finally provides the scale and the staying power to be able to go faster, wider, right? So Anshuman ji was talking about how scale and tech, we are becoming too scale and tech focused, but we are forgetting the context of it, right? And how things have to be changed per context. So that's of course important. Government comes in to scale things, but of course it has to be done with the caveat of context, with contextualizing the solutions to different geographies and different agroclimatic zones. So that's the secret sauce. That joint success metric, अगर वो crack कर सकते हैं हम, then it will be like a tri-sector handshake, right? So risk capital plus nimble innovation plus the state machinery all coming through. Yeah, Ekta.
Wow, this is very comprehensive and very, very helpful, especially to build their model and scale, and what support can they expect. So this is very helpful. Thank you so much. Moving on, my next question is again for Sabyada. So Sabyada, if you could share, and I'm moving slightly away from the script because काफी सारे जो मेरे questions थे वो answer हो गए हैं, तो I'm trying to pose new questions. So I hope that's okay. So Sabyada, would love to understand what has worked in building trust and capacities among farmers to shift away from input heavy models. And अगर सब्यादा के अलावा और भी कोई हमारे speakers हैं जो add करना चाहें after सब्यादा, they would be most welcome to do so.
I think what has been working and what I'm getting a sense from different geographies. Okay, there are certain difficulties there in agroecological transformation, whatever every panelist has said. So in that, I was thinking, and then generally speak about this, that what is there or what is required for ease of doing agroecological farming. Okay, so and that depends on how localized it is and how it can be it can reduce the labor. If we look at that point of view, then we may probably see that what is working at the ground. There are certain things that is working on the ground, that there are some kind of a technological interventions as well as capacity building things happening from our a lot of CSO side. So that is helping. That is helping. But if I look at the trust with the government, maybe I may come with the government also. Uh, at the level of ground, at the ground level, like block level and the district level, the overall belief on the agroecology in the government is very little. We used to say that you cannot move to a agroecological pathways if you have a chemical thinking in mind in the mind. So you actually need to move towards the uh, organic thought process of agroecological transformation. But I also see that there are certain movement in certain places, particularly in the tribal areas, probably the rain-fed areas. Let me tell you that in Koraput, which is a primarily a rain-fed region, high density of tribal communities, where there is some kind of a multi-actor platform has been created with the facilitation with the collector and district administration, bring in a lot of interdepartmental connection. Number one, number of various stakeholder, bringing the expertise of various people, and we should be mindful that we CSOs we are not expert of everything, and we need to accept that. And if we know that, then there is a possibilities of collaborations. I see that wherever we could able to collaborate among our CSOs, where we could able to bring in government into these processes, there are certain progress that we are making, but this progress is slow. But I would also like to accept Gitanjali's point of view that we need to
Sabyata, we've lost you. Okay, while Sabyasachi joins us, maybe I can pose my next question, and hopefully, when he comes back, maybe he can share. So, my next question is for Anshumanda. So, Anshumanda, you mentioned the role of gender, and so I would love for you to define a little more that, in your experience, what role do you see women in youth play in leading or sustaining transitions and agroecological transitions within communities?
See, what I often see this input intensive agriculture is a very kind of a masculine in nature. So why I say this? One, because when you look at agriculture, the way agriculture is done nowadays, so around 70 to 80% work is done by women, mostly. If you think about rice farming, and I have calculated myself that around 80% of the work is done by women, and there are two areas where male are involved. One is decision making, like which crop to grow, which seed to buy. That is one, and the second thing is when you are selling it. So going to market and selling in the market. So this green revolution paradigm or this input intensive paradigm is actually created more and more space for masculine gender in terms of seed and market, and reducing the kind of the knowledge role of women gradually. So this input intensive agriculture by nature is very masculine. We're talking about something else. we're talking about agriculture, we're talking about production system, which is more localized, contextualized, and henceforth it is more knowledge driven. And who owns the knowledge? So knowledge traditionally is owned by the women. So women are the seed keepers. Women are for all the livestock like goat rearing, animal rearing, looking at the poultry. So all these are tasks of women. So when we are talking about something which doesn't need much thinking, which doesn't need much knowledge, you have these pests, go to a pesticide shop, ask them, whatever they give, you just spray. Or you know that you have to plant shorno rice during Boro. So, or one particular IR 36. तो वो लगाना है, तो एक गांव में अगर आप जाके देखेंगे तो पूरे लोग एकड़ आफ्टर एकड़ वो IR 36 ही लगाए हैं. So you don't need to think much. So the role of women in this current input intensive agriculture is gradually reducing a lot. I think we are talking about something else. We're talking about more knowledge driven, more sensitive, more kind of organic, quote unquote organic, not only in terms of replacing input, but in terms of something which is more dynamic. So there, the importance of women is very much. So I need to bring back that importance actually. So women are just a labor now. So they're not owner. They're not owner of anything. They're not owner of the knowledge. They're not even owner of the land. So I mentioned that earlier. So there are like FPOs. I have seen just as a token they have kept like 2-3 women members. So just as a token. So this tokenism has to go away. So talking about including women. What do you mean by including? They are already there, so they are included. So you cannot, don't let us not have the audacity of including other gender. So they are there, you cannot include them. So there are various, our thought process needs to go through changes if we talk about gender. And of course, youth. Very important. You cannot do away with youth because, of course, they are the future. And India is a country where we have a huge number of youth. So we are basically a country with more number of youth than elderly people. So youth, one, it is a force, very important, but another thing is that's a future. But we often discuss about that youth are not willing to come to agriculture, which is true, because agriculture has now not remained any more productive, any more remunerative, and most importantly, the kind of prestige that is linked to farming is gradually diminishing. So, if you look at the major, examination forms, so or any form that way, which we used to feel generally, we will see a lot of occupation options. So we will not see farming. Farming we don't consider as an occupation. So it's not even the government. All the अब नौकरी की वो भरने जाओ या किसी बड़े एग्जाम्स की फॉर्म भरने जाओ, ये जो ऑक्यूपेशन का ऑप्शंस आता है उसमें किसान नहीं है. तो हमारे दिमाग में और दिल में ये नहीं है कि फार्मिंग इज ऑल्सो काइंड ऑफ अ प्रेस्टिजियस ऑप्शन. वो नहीं है तो यूथ क्यों आएंगे? तो ये क्रिएट करना है. I think that prestige has to come back, then youth will come back. So one way of looking at it is like creating more opportunities in the rural areas, which is beyond farm, which is beyond agriculture. Like, can we process our produce in the village itself, which will create more and more job, which is more and more technical, but often technology attracts youth. So can we include more more, say, technologies like artificial intelligence, technologies like other things, which youth are, attracted very quickly. So I think to attract youth, to bring youth back, it is also important to look at what is the need of the youth, what they're looking for, what they are needing, what is their aspiration. So we hardly talk about all this. So we tend to talk in terms of schemes, and we make a schemes for youth, and we never bother about whether the youth, we never ask in youth whether you need that scheme or not. We just make a scheme. So I think those are certain things. I mean, I'm more talking about the thought process, more talking about the intention of bringing some transformation, the framework of the transformation that we're looking at. I think there are fundamental flaws in all those thought processes. I think that is one way of looking at it. Yeah, I stop here. I don't know how I could respond to your question. Hello?
Yes, you're audible, Anjumanda.
Yeah. So, yeah. If I stop here, Ekta is not there, it seems.
Yes, I think we lost Ekta Di. Just give me a second. Yeah, she's here.
Yes, sorry, I think my internet on my laptop's gone, but I'll try and use my mobile phone.
Okay.
I hope that this will work. Recording in progress. Sorry about that. So
Yeah.
I think I'm connected in both places, but I'll continue with my phone for now. So I think समय को ध्यान रखते हुए मेरे पास 3 और सवाल है हमारे स्पीकर्स के लिए। तो मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि अगर हमारे स्पीकर 2 से 3 मिनट में अपना रिस्पॉन्स दे सके सो दैट हम पार्टिसिपेंट्स के लिए भी थोड़ा समय रख सके बिकॉज हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स के पास भी काफी सारे प्रश्न हैं आप लोगों के लिए। तो आगे बढ़ते हुए मेरा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन है कृष्णा दा के लिए। तो कृष्णा दा, आपके एक्सपीरियंस में क्या क्या मोस्ट प्रॉमिसिंग इनोवेशन और मॉडल्स हैं जो आपने देखे हैं?
I think you're on mute, Ekta Di.
Okay.
Unmute.
सॉरी। सो कृष्णा दा, मैं अपना प्रश्न वापस रिपीट करती हूँ। तो आपके एक्सपीरियंस में आपने ऐसे क्या इनोवेशंस या मॉडल्स देखे हैं जो एग्रो इकोलॉजिकल रीजेनरेशन, लाइवलीहुड और इक्विटी को कंबाइन करते हैं?
No, nothing. I think this is the time, at least patiently sit with the elders and listen what was happening. I think we cry a lot about climate change. Look at that, this is not new. If you talk to your elderly ones, they have experienced it. And also, this is at Delhi level, you cannot design any programs. We need to sit at the farm level, village level, panchayat level, and start planning something. So what we strongly believe, and we have also seen the possible solutions are, go back to the cropping systems. If it is a millet-based cropping system, or a rice-based cropping system, or even pulses-based cropping system, so that need to bring back. To give you an example, in Karnataka, it was in 2023, it was a total rain failure in Kharif. Look at that, we were all thought ragi is a very hardy crop. But accidentally, we have established on diversity black, and we distributed barnyard millet to few farmers. We thought barnyard millet from an Himalaya, it may not work in Karnataka. But even the drought situation, that barnyard millet really worked a lot than ragi. And most of the farmers, that time maize was failure, but most of our millet farmers harvested a good crops, So these are there. And also we have forgotten the rice means always it's irrigated. We never seriously looked on the rain-fed rice, the dryland farming, all these things we have not worked. I think this is the time, at least bring back that cropping system, whether it's a Baranaja or a Pannendu Pantalu or a Akkadi system or Navadanya. I think that is the one way we can cope up the situation. And the second thing is like, wherever possible, we just do the diversity blocks. Collect whatever the, for example, you have some rice varieties, collect from nearby areas, put it in a diversity block. At least you will see which variety is working for this difficult time, which is the potential varieties. I think this is the method we have adopted. It's like a groundnut. We have lot season, we have did something 38 groundnut varieties we have planted. Believe me, the top 5 varieties are not the one what released by the local university. We all felt whatever released varieties are more promising, but changed climate change, maybe other varieties worked a lot. Actually, it's like a spreading groundnut. People were laughing. Now people are looking an opportunity with the spreading variety because it's mature slate. All the rain stops. You can go in sometime in November and December, and there is no rain, no crop failure. Whatever the early crops, sometime in September, October, November, 100% failure, because that was a downpour. And the other thing is at least understand the rain pattern. We have did it. 30 years rainfall data collected from the meteorological station. That is what in Pune, central national level thing. So if you see, look at the quantum of rainfall is not reduced. Only thing is you go with the Male Nakshatra, rain stars. You compare all this data with your rain stars. So the rain pattern is changed. It's like earlier we were by May, the promising rains were there, pre-sowing rain. That is now shifted it to June, July, even August first week. But now, last 2-3 years, the thing is changed. Now rain started in April. Earlier, look at that, 7-8 years back, 10 years back, it was moved to July, August. But now, last 3-4 years, it's all in April end or May first week, heavy downpour. Whatever you so again, so these are all the changes. I think carefully we must design the cropping pattern, sowing patterns, and also the harvesting, whatever the crop plan for the local area. This is one. And second thing is always when we thought about markets, we look always urban markets. We always forgetting the local markets because of the monocrops. Most of the rural families, they're buying pulses, buying rices, many other food grains from the market because they grow the cotton, they grow the sunflower, or they grow the maize. Actually, maize killed a lot of the millets and other traditional crops. Wherever the maize farmers, they sell and buy all these food grains from the market. At least create one is the local rural shanties and the small taluka level, town level farmers market. Really, there is an opportunity. It's like we have very successful in linking our producers to the local shanties. What we did, we just partnership with the local panchayats, create some shelter, and all our agroecological farmers go and sit and sell, make it little bit hygienic and also an attractive. Now really they're all doing good. Last season from 10 rural market, we sold around nearly 2 crore business we did. Imagine, I am unable to do that level at the urban level. I think we neglected the local shanties. I think we need to rework on that. And the second thing is the farmers market. Because why farmers market? Farmers need support. Producer companies needs a green investment. This will create an opportunity. In Mysuru, It's like my farmers market, my consumers and the farmers like friends. So the consumer brings, hey, look at that, you gave that, I had this butterfruit plant, somehow, can you plant it in your farm? And also he tells story, sir, my son 10th standard is want to join there. Hey, I will help you. So this is what breeds that relationship, friendship, and even, yeah, that is the attracting the green consumers. Take your consumers to the farm. I think this is what really we need to work a lot on the farmers market. Wonderfully, I think overall an opportunity. Please visit Vishakhapatnam, Raitu Bazaar. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's like lakhs of rupees turnover they do every year. That is the self-help group, whatever that limitation. But I think still it is a model to push for the policy change level. And the third thing is, yes, really, all the infrastructure and value additions, especially. We must think more than candle making, papad making, and pickle making. Lot to do. It's like a roots and tubers. It's like an Agrawale farmers. You just Google it and see ube, purple. That's very popular in Philippines. I thought, kya attractive aim. But later I saw it in Nagruvale forest. Our tribal Jenukuruba grows lot of this papaya. And when you make it powder, you add it to water, it's a purple water. You add it to idli, it's a purple idli. Add it to a rice, it's a purple rice. Whatever it's like a rich in antioxidant. So doing all these things, the 20 rupees purple yam, now they're selling it for 150 rupees. I think this is what, it's like a hidden treasure, these roots and tubers, but need lot of value additions. Most of our academicians, research stations, scientists are ignore about aerial potatoes, Dioscorea species, or a purple yam, or a greater yam, many other things. I think this is the way we need to work a lot on the value additions. Yes, there are good department officials. I think this is the time we all need to work together. But the only thing is, I'm very sad. It's like we have 4 producer companies. Sahaja Organics is more than 28 crore. For them, it's not difficult to walk into the HDFC bank or any bank, get 2 crore loan. But the Devdanya, the startup, we are unable to get 5 lakh rupees loan also. And also, how many times you go to the bank to beg? It's like a begging. It should be something. So at the end of the day, what we have said goodbye to the banks. We banked on the green investors. At least some well-wisher comes, they put up 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs or whatever. And this is what we invented, the Mela concept. Let's raise our own money, convince our own consumers. This is what Desi Dal Mela, Desi Banana Mela, Desi Rice Mela, Millet Mela, Roots and Tuber Mela, Bijotsav, every month one or the other Mela. Imagine Jackfruit Mela, it's a forgotten, it's no one worry. 45 lakh turnover in Mysore. It attracts thousands of consumers. I think really consumers are looking something new and don't think only the conventional crops. We can also do wonders with the forgotten crops. I think it's possible. I am a lot of, especially wherever I try, financially we are sustainable. But only my dream is if government also joins this, we can do wonders.
Absolutely,
Because
Krishna.
it's like a kind of a less traveled path. If government institutions joins, we can do wonders that we have experienced it also.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, Krishna, I'm cutting you short because I already have a list of questions that participants also want to ask, and I want to be able to ask some of those questions. So my last question, I think I'm going to pose it to both Gitanjali Di and Manjushri Tai, and really hope we can, answer them in 1 minute maximum each, so that I can move on to some of the participant questions. So, same question for both of you. What are the biggest challenges and opportunities you see in building climate resilient agri businesses that are both farmer first and financially viable? तो अगर इसके ऊपर आप हमें 1 मिनट में शॉर्ट में अगर प्लीज बता सके बिफोर आई मूव ऑन टू क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम पार्टिसिपेंट्स.
So, with respect to climate resilience, it's all about how we are understanding the microclimate. That is it, and how we are planning to provide the deficient factors which are going to, make the yield or the economic crops in that microclimate give the maximum and optimized yield at very, you can say, uh, in a very sustainable way. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so I would say one is water smart crops and tools. More than 90% of the water that India has is used in agriculture. I think we know this very worrying statistic. So we'll have to look at, and with climate change, this risk is only going to get higher and higher, and the groundwater is going lower, right? So water smart crops, water smart tools to ensure that not much of water leakage is done, not much of water is just going away wasted. That's important. And these are simple solutions, really, right? So, on one hand, you have governments which give you free electricity. In the night, you have irrigation. But then, so the farmer pretty much he can't go in the night and turn off the tap. So the water keeps running in the night. So these are water smart is definitely one of the thing. Next is your bio inputs. If you can have a chain of bio input locally brewed by local entrepreneurs, something like an Amul maybe, but of bio inputs, and a chain of all of that, that reduces our dependence on chemicals, that reduces the carbon, that increases the microbiome and the life of our soils, and that then will result in soil fertility slowly going higher and higher. Somebody else said about rainfall. Actually, I think it was Sabir Sajida who said that rainfall actually has not reduced. It is just the intensity of rain and the frequency in which it is coming. So we are experiencing a lot of rain, but in a smaller amount of time. That means catchment has to be increased. That means desiltation. That means all of these activities have to be done so that there is more catchment of the rainwater which is there, which can be used by rainfed farmers, right? And the last thing is we have to start looking at different technologies. When you say technology, it's only not about IoT devices, but it's also about something like agri photovoltaic, right? So you have basically solar panels on the farm. It answers your question about equity also, Ekta, about this is panels on a farm where women farmers can then work on their crops. So you have crops as well as you have the panels. So actually for women farmers, it is shade. They can work for longer durations. The temperatures on the fields are just increasing now. So these are just some of the ideas that are there. There are so many else as well. Like rural circular energy, all of that is there, biogas, all of that. But yeah.
Well, thank you so much for keeping this very short and a lot of information packed. So there are a few questions, and I'm going to share two, three of them together, and would request all the panelists to take them up and answer. We have another 8 minutes, so I think let me try and take at least three of them. So, is there any module or system to identify folk vegetable seeds, maintain their genetic character? They need suggestions to practice this within the community. That's one of the questions. The second question is, how are you managing early information about weather? Not just forecasting, but nowcasting also, and disseminating it to the community, which is necessary to plan the crop cycle and save crops. We've been having a lot of discussions about this with Anshumanda. I hope he'll have some insights to share on this. And then there is another question, which is what is the impact of climate change on marginal farmers in the last 10 years? What types of initiatives are happening to support marginal farmers and make them resilient? And I think there is also one more question, so let me also take them and then I'll open the floor to the panelists. Do you also think the same, that the agri supply chain in India can't be transformed from the traditional mandi system to a technology-based supply chain? So I think these are four questions that I'm sharing with all the panelists, and I request all of you all to answer, and please keep it brief. I think I have about 5 minutes in total.
So I can go first. So there are quite wide range of questions and very broad questions, difficult to answer. So yeah, the small holder farmers are, of course, the most vulnerable community when you talk about climate change, because they have lesser resilience. And the one way of building resilience to climate change is bringing more diversity to the system. So when you are like making your crop diverse, making your food diverse, making your production system diverse. So if you are earning from one, you should earn from 5 different sources. So bringing more diversity is one way of addressing this, because when you are diversifying, you are not only diversifying your nutrition, diversifying your income and the frequency of income you are earning throughout the year, not once, and you are not dependent on only one thing. You are also diversifying your risk. So your risks are also distributed in many different sources, many different kinds of system. So one way of addressing this is diversity. And yes, now casting is definitely possible. And I think I have seen a couple of very good now casting system nowadays, rather than only looking at forecasting. But the issue is not that. Issue is not about only forecasting or now casting. The issue is about clubbing agro advisory with that. So if this is going to happen, what do you do? The problem is all our agro advisory system is very much input intensive, is very much green revolution dependent technology. It cannot cater the diversified need that a small farmer might have. So I'll stop here. If other speakers can take up a couple of other.
Yeah, about the forecasting and nowcasting bit, what we've seen is that there are a lot of apps, of course, available. There is the eChopal, there is Cropping, there is a lot of apps available, weather data, all of that available. But the problem that comes in the ground level is that you don't have village level data of whether it's going to rain today or not. It's mostly at a block level, right? So if I'm sitting at a village and it's telling me for my block that yes, this is going to rain today, or it's not going to rain today, or there is going to be a flood, or a drought that is predicted, or something like that, then it's not really relevant to me, because I'm just one village and it may or may not rain in this. So that's one of the things, of course. And what are the problems faced by the small farmer is most small farmers are also rain-fed farmers. So it's like a double whammy that is there. Not just they have to adjust their cropping patterns according to the rains, but they also are small. Hence, their dependence on that land is a lot more. What Anshuman ji said about diversifying then becomes even more important, right? Not depending just on agriculture, but having different sources of income always helps to bolster any sort of shocks that climate change sort of throws at you. So if one crop fails, then okay, no problem. I have livestock, or I have a small kirana shop, which is giving me that income so that I can tide this wave. So that's very important. Small farmers are more affected because you have short seasons, and then because no rain, and that becomes an issue because they have no catchment. Yeah, a lot of interesting questions, but yeah, many of them could be a very long answer, and yeah, more nuanced.
So, Eka, I have nothing more to add at present.
Yes, please, Tai, please go ahead.
So, I was saying I have nothing more to add. I think both the other speakers have covered most of the points. If some questions can be further taken, you can take those.
Sure, Keepida, Sabhyada, if you all want to add something, otherwise I think we have 1 more minute to go. So I think Keepida, yes, please.
No, yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, Kepida, we can't hear you.
No, I said go ahead. I think I also not that anything to add.
Fantastic. So I
If
think we have
any specific question, then only we can answer.
fantastic. So I think then we have just one more minute to go. So I think I'm not going to take up more questions
Hello.
right now.
Phone anh thì bây giờ mới xong coi điện luôn.
If we can please mute, that'll be great.
Yeah,
So
it's done.
thank you so much for a wonderful panel discussion. We've had a wonderful speakers, and they come with, I think, decades and decades of experience. So we've tried to plug in, I think, a century worth of experience in the last 1.5 hours. And they're all experts in their field, have done some fantastic work. So I can't thank you all enough for taking this time out to speak to some of the young entrepreneurs and NGO leaders. And I am very, very hopeful that they have learned a lot from all of you today. I know that I have learned a lot. It's been a while that I have spoken to some of you. So I think in that period, I think there is so much more that has happened that, I've had the opportunity to learn. And also, I think, if Radhi, if there are ways that, participants can still continue to learn from our experts and speakers, or reach out, I think that could be incredible, because there is still so much more that I think that can be learned. And thank you, all of you all, for being wonderful speakers and, wonderful audiences. Thank you so much for all of your questions and participation. And thank you, Earthon team, for organizing this.
Thank you so much, Ekta Di. It was a wonderful session. Thank you to all the panelists. It was really great, and I hope that everyone who joined us, they took some good learnings with them. So thank you once again, everyone. If you have any queries related to the challenge, I have given you the mail ID and the contact details. You can reach out to my colleague Ananya. Her number is given there. Or for any other queries, you can reach out. You can just write to us on the email, which is given in the chat box. We will be back with another webinar, because as I said in the beginning, that it is a series of the knowledge building sessions. So we'll be back with another webinar on July 9th. Which is more towards the regenerative agriculture, and we'll be back with new panelists who are experts in that field. So thank you once again. Hoping you a good week ahead. Thank you all. Good day.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.